everybody. Thank you all for being here. Can you all hear me okay? Is the sound okay? J says it's sounding a little strange. Maybe I can tweak settings a little bit. Thank you all for coming. It's so nice to see so many people here. A little bit scary, I'm gonna admit. I've already had so many questions come in the last few days. So there is absolutely no way I'm going to be able to get to everybody's questions and do them justice. So I'm going to cover what I can. Thank you, Phil. Cover what I can, and yeah, maybe we'll have to do this again sometime. Who knows? Yeah, all right. So I don't know where to start. So many questions. Maybe I'll start with what I just improvised and what I was doing as I was improvising. I had a question from Christine, I think, who asked about extending melodies. And somebody else also asked about extending melodies while improvising. I think, Christine, you were specifically asking about in composition, how to go from a simple riff, an idea, and to then develop that further into a composition or an improvisation. In this case, I found an idea and I was improvising. So I guess we'll dive into that first. But before we begin, I just want to check in with everybody and see who's here. Oh, so many people. Yeah, here's Christine's comment. Also, shout out and thank you to Rosie for lending me her StreamYard account so that I can do this and make it look all fancy with the comments on the bottom. I appreciate that. Thank you, Rosie. Hello, Rosemary. Hello, Chris. Hello, Kate. Good to see you. Hi, Mom. Look, I'm on TV. Hi, Michelle. Yes, that was a C sharp. I was playing an E sub I just now, but I was playing it in C sharp minor. I have a low C sharp underneath, and I very much enjoy playing in the minor on that scale. Hi, Gabrielle, Hal, Joe, Valentine, so many people, so many beautiful people. Julia, hi, hello, hello, hello. Okay, I can't do this forever. All right. So I'm going to take this off the screen so that you can see my handpan. But, oh no, how do I do that? Rosie, how do I take this off the screen? I get it. Yeah, so composition, extending melody ideas, developing into full-length compositions. I was just covering this with a student of mine the other day, and she's a great player already, and was developing a piece for a performance, and her question was, look, I've got this really cool riff, how do I make it go further? And she played it to me and it was beautiful and I really loved it. And I said to her, okay, that's great, now what? You know, that feels like just a repeating refrain. Where can you go from there? And immediately her first instinct was to take that straight away and start building another idea to attach to it. She immediately went in a completely different direction, and I stopped her and I said, wait. Before you start building new ideas, which, yes, for sure, you need a section A, a section B in a composition, you need something different to go to. But first, how can you take that initial idea and build it, develop it? And she said, well, what do you mean by that? So we're going to dive into that now. Oh my goodness, I can't. I'm going to get distracted by comments as I go. I'm just going to have to not read the comments while I do this, and then I'll come back to them. So in the improvisation that I just did, that I just played, I can't remember what I did exactly, but I had a bass line. I had this. I was moving between this low note, this low note, blah, 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 and this low note. Fairly simple. And then I had a repeating melody that I just kind of came up with off the cuff. Something like this. Right. This is it in its simplest form. And even though I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, because I've got a moving bass line underneath, it sounds like it's got movement. It sounds interesting already, which is great. Perfect. And if you've got an isabai or any kind of sabai or ashikiran, you can do this exact melody with me. Okay. So now what? Well, what I could do is I could take this whole shape and play it somewhere else. So now you see what I'm doing here is I'm playing the initial variation, doing something slightly different, going back to the first idea, doing something slightly different. I didn't copy the entire shape. The initial shape looked like this. And then I went from this note, and actually I was just playing 3 different notes here. But I kept the same rhythm. So I'm taking the same theme and idea, right? But I'm moving it around. Okay, so let's hear what that sounds like. That's nice, but already it's starting to get repetitive. So now what I'm tempted to do is to start experimenting with how I'm actually dividing the beats and how I'm playing around with that melody a little bit. I'm going to start adding ghost notes in the space in between, getting my hands moving so that they can kind of get on autopilot a little bit. Somebody once described to me, might have been the same student actually, I can't remember. Someone described to me as ghost notes as like pedaling on a bike, right? It's almost like the stabilizers on a bike. If you take them off, you start to wobble a little bit. You start to sway a little bit in your movement. But if you've got those stabilizers on, there's so much more you can do. So I'm going to start to explore some of this space a little bit now. Wait, how did it go? I'm losing the melody. Right, so you see how now that I'm getting this going, I'm starting to find some little little moments where I can make that melody more interesting rhythmically. So I'm not changing the melody, but I'm adding some interesting rhythm to it. Then I can't help it. Once my hands are going, they just want to start to move around. So it's a little bit difficult for me to demonstrate because my hands just start doing things. But then because I was inspired, then suddenly I started finding different melody patterns. I introduced this note every now and then. I lost the melody a little bit because I was thinking too much, but it meant that I was repeating things in different orders, which actually is quite nice, right? So instead of A, B, I kept switching it around to keep it interesting. A, B, 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 A, whatever, just kind of switching and changing, swapping and changing between those 2 ideas. I also really wanted to add some groove. So let's see what that looks like if I then develop this even further and add some knocks and tacks and rhythmic ideas into this. taking this melody even lower, and it feels darker. And it makes me want to go somewhere different with it. And I'm repeating this refrain in different lengths. 1, 1, and then 3 in one go. 1, 2, 3. And now I can copy that shape. And then bring it back down. So you can hear how I'm taking the same theme and I'm letting it inspire me to move in different directions just by taking exactly the same shape, basically making little triangles here and here, right? But moving in different directions. I started from the bottom and moved up to build tension, and then I brought it back down again to kind of mellow it out, make it dark and mysterious again, right? So as I go, I'm not just thinking, this is a nice melody that I just came up with. This is cool. Let me play this over and over. But I'm thinking, this is really nice. Where can this take me? How can I develop it further? Where else can I go from here? And there's always more. There's always more. Another really great way to change it up is to change the harmonic pattern underneath. So I was sticking to the same bass line all of the time here. But what happens if I completely change the bass line? Suddenly it's happy, right? Now it feels more mysterious again. Now it's happy. Right, so if I change what's happening underneath, then again, I can completely change the sound because I'm changing how it's relating to itself, if you like, which changes the mood. Another option is to start building harmony within the actual melody itself. Can I do that? No. Right, so you can see how there are so many directions you can take this in, and you can start to take some of the melody out, leave more space, have a little percussion break, whatever, and you can make that interesting for 5 minutes in theory if you change it up enough. I don't recommend that. I do recommend a B section, but if you've got a composition and you've got a couple of different sections, but it still doesn't feel like it's flowing yet, that's probably because your different sections are short and feel quite isolated as their own single ideas, right? So if you're having that feeling, go back into it and think, all right, let's take this one idea and let's develop this again and again and again. Do something else different until you're really out of ideas. And then when you're really stuck and you don't know what else to do with it, push it one step further, do it again. All right, shall I change the rhythm? Should I figure something else out? Then stitch it all back together, and then you'll find that it feels more developed. All right, that was 15 minutes on one question. There is no way I'm going to cover much of this, but I hope that was helpful. Yes, that is my exact process as I'm improvising or composing. Composing is sometimes a little bit different because I can move more slowly and let my brain kind of sit and work. Sometimes I'll sit down with the same idea over and over and over again before moving on, which is what I just did, but like even the same pattern over and over and over again without any variation. So I hope that was helpful, Christine. Is it okay to make a pitch bend on a handpan? I always think that I will destroy my instrument. You will not destroy your instrument. Some handpans it's easier than others. Some different harmonics is easier than others. But it's possible. One thing to note though is that when you do harmonics, you don't need to press at all. I'm just very gently resting my finger and then striking. And then if I push just a little bit, you've got that pitch bend. You're not going to damage the pan unless you're going crazy with it. Some of you might have heard the story of Nadeshana, who does these fun like tabla techniques, just kind of knocking his ding out of tune all the time. But this, that's fine. And it sounds cool. I don't know if that is picked up very well on the microphones. But yeah, totally fine, totally stylish. Do it as much as you like. Yeah, stay gentle with it. Great username. What songs do you suggest are fairly easy or even normal and sound cool to start with? There are lots of song examples on my YouTube channel. You can check them out. There are lots of beginner grooves. So yeah, go there and start there. If you want to learn popular songs, I don't know, something that only has 2 or 3 chords in it, probably a good place to start. Repetitive melodies. Yeah, cool question. Yes, the overhead view is, I got a new, well actually this isn't new at all, but I lifted the carpet recently for a different project and then put down this wall hanging on the floor because it looks pretty. I like it. Yeah. Okay. So we've had a bunch of different polyrhythm questions. Some came up on my Instagram already, and somebody has already asked in the chat here as well. But I'm just gonna go back. Easy meditative patterns. Okay, let's cover the polyrhythm because this was asked on Instagram as well. Somebody asked for the 4 against 3. Somebody else is asking for the 2 against 3. And my advice is to use words to remember them. So this is a D chord. For the 2 against 3, if I'm playing 1 on the ding itself and 1 on the shoulder, like this hand is playing 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This hand is playing 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? To make this easier, I like to say, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea. And I did a whole video on this recently that you can check out. It's called something about polyrhythms. Nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea. So nice is both hands together, both, and in this case, I'm playing left, right, left. Both, left, right, left. Both, right, left, right, left. Both, left, right, left. Both, left, right, left. Both, left, right, left. Nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea, nice cup of tea. And to get that really ingrained in your body, practice it the other way around. So now this hand is playing the 3s. Nice cup of tea, 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 nice cup of tea. And then to take it a step further so that you're really, really practicing getting that in your body and your hands, you can start to move one of those hands around. So if I put the 2 on the ding, nice cup of tea, nice cup of, nice of, nice of, nice cup of tea, 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 nice cup of tea. I can start to bring 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, There's also another really cool way to put that in your body that I learned from a workshop by Man Mui, who studied Kitty Plow, which is a cool South American polyrhythmic thing. And they put it in their body by putting the two, I don't know, on their feet like this. Maybe I can lift the camera, let's see. Ooh, now you can see behind the scenes how this works. So we count 1, 2, 1, 2, like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then with our hands, we can count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, like this. So we stamp and clap at the same time. Then one hand comes to our chest. Then the other foot comes down. And then the other hand comes to the chest. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Nice cup of tea. Nice cup of tea. Nice cup of tea. Nice cup of tea. Any way that you can get these into your body are just like any way that you can dance it, tap it out in a different way, play it in a song that you're listening to on the radio, whatever. It's always a really good way to get stuff in your body, to remember it, to find it a little bit easier rather than just sticking everything on the handpan straight away and expecting it to work. All right, camera. How's that? Is that low enough? I think so. So I hope that's helpful. 60 people marching in time in all different parts of the world. I find that hard to believe. I bet there are people somewhere in the world laid in bed like this on their laptop watching me, pretending to be practicing handpan. I know if somebody was live streaming a free lesson, I would be in bed watching. But nice if you were marching. So the other question was 4 against 3, which there is also a nice phrase for, which is I can play this rhythm. 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 I is both hands. Can play. I can play this. And then rhythm is faster. Right? I can play this rhythm. 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 So you'll see that my left hand is playing 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. My right hand is playing 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? Which is always a fun exercise, trying to count along with one hand. I was at a handpan retreat in Greece a few weeks ago, teaching for the Handpan Dojo retreat. One of the students there was at the end of one of my workshops. We'd been studying not polyrhythm, but polymeter and then polyrhythm. And I disappeared and I came back and she was singing one time signature and playing the other, like doing the polyrhythm, but between voice and pan, which I haven't tried yet, but I want to, and it was amazing. So again, any new way that you can think of to get that in your body, and trying to count along with just one hand or sing along with what one hand would be doing, is a really good way to really get that ingrained. All right, cool. Lots of people tuning in from Germany, watching from a train in France. Amazing. Yeah, let me know where you're watching from. Are you watching in bed? Are you actually joining in? Are you at the kitchen table? Are you on a train? This is great. Cool. All right, so I'm going to go to Instagram and find another question. In the meantime, look at this fancy thing that I can do. Da, 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 da. Ooh. If you would like to help support me and help me make more free educational content online, then you can find ways to do that in the description below. I have a PayPal account that you can drop a tip in if you like. I have a Patreon account, community, where you can come and I do extra bonus tutorials every Friday, little 5-minute challenges and behind the scenes stuff. I also have a course on handpandojo.com if you're interested in more of this process. And I have a class that runs in spring, winter, and autumn, which is an interesting way to say that. Autumn, winter, and spring. So it's not running right now, but I do have a weekly Sunday Zoom class that you can join the mailing list for, which again is in the description box below. I will be doing one-off lessons, which potentially I'm thinking about doing one next Sunday on composition, diving deeper into that. So if you're interested in that, then sign up for the email there. But yeah, please and thank you. That would be amazing. If you can't support me financially, that's great. That's fine. I'm just happy that you're here. So let's see. Longer melodies, we've done that. Is there any more specific advice than practice a lot more to improve hand speed? Oh, somebody's just signed up to the list. Thank you. Okay, so Axel has asked, nope, not Axel, Hülpernky, Hlprmnky, Hülpernky. Is there any more specific advice than practice a lot more to improve hand speed? That is the question. No. You kind of just have to practice a lot more, but there is practice that is helpful and there is practice that is not helpful. So let's get rid of this annoying banner for now. Yeah, so if you're wanting to improve your hand speed, there is no quick fix. There is no fast way to do it. You just have to practice a lot more. But the things that you practice are what's going to help you progress faster. So the typical things are scales, moving up and down the scale, but not just like this. But you can play, you can do it like this to start with. Choose a specific finger, and you can move in doubles. Now, the most important thing about this is that when you do it, you use a metronome. I learned this from when I spent a week being David Cookerman. I interviewed David and asked him what his practice routine used to be when he was studying, and then I did his routine. And one of his tips was that he didn't just use a metronome and do it as fast as he could, but he used a metronome, started at a comfortable speed, and then kept pushing it until it was uncomfortable, and made a note of how far he got. And then the next day when he came back, started a little bit below that, or maybe a little bit more than was comfortable the day before, pushing it, and pushed it further than yesterday. So make a note of where you're at. Otherwise, it just won't feel like you're progressing. Like that's if you don't actually document what you're doing, your mean brain, or at least in my case, my mean brain would always tell me, you're in the same place that you were a year ago and you suck at playing the handpan and you're not getting any better. But actually, if I take notes and film things of my practice, then even just in 2 days, I can see the progress and be like, oh, I am faster. I'm 5 BPM faster than I was yesterday. I'm 10 BPM faster than I was yesterday. Some days, I'm 30 beats per minute below what I could do yesterday. I'm just not feeling it. All right, then I'm not doing it today. I pushed it. I tried. I'm just going to have a rest. I'm going to fill my cup in other ways, do research, or listen to music, or go for a walk and be inspired. And I'll try again tomorrow. Anyway, I digress. So make a note of where you're at all the time. And yeah, practice your doubles. Also with one hand. Also with each finger. Also with split finger. And it's not just about how fast you can get, but about how crisp and clear and clean you can get as well. So yeah, so that with both hands, keep the metronome going, make a note of where you're at. And lots of other practices. For example, recently I've been trying to improve my rotation. I say recently, I haven't done it for a while, so I'm about to demonstrate and it won't be very good. So I will, again, get a metronome going. Right, and practice this. So you literally do just have to practice over and over and over and over and over again. And I saw the most progress when I was being really intentional with practicing my drills for at least 30 minutes a day. An hour is amazing. 10 minutes is also perfect. We've all got lives and jobs and all of this kind of stuff. So as long as you have a tiny set amount of time where you are being intentional with what you're playing, with what you're practicing, you're following drills online, you can look up drum rudiments and translate those onto the handpan, paradiddles, doubles, triples, whatever. Look up those, see what they do, look up free tutorials on YouTube, look up grooves and rhythms and see if you can increase the speed of those as well. But I think the most important thing is to have regular intentional space. When I was seeing the least progress in my playing ability, I wasn't practicing at all. I was sitting down with the handpan every day, but just playing and singing, which is also fine and great, and I loved it, and I was expressing myself. But I wasn't improving my playing ability, or I was, but in tiny, tiny, tiny amounts. But then as soon as I started and found a love for practicing, which I never used to have, then all of a sudden my ability skyrocketed. So it's about having that intentional time and putting that time in. That's the only way. So no, there is no quick fix. You do just have to keep doing it, but you can be specific about what it is you're doing. Yes. Oh, Nick, thank you so much. Yay. Nick says, greetings from Central Canada. Last week, your handpan playlist got me through a terrible work project I didn't want to do. Just kept going and I'm forever grateful. Yes, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your support. Thank you for that. That's amazing. And I'm glad it got you through. And I hope that the project was okay and that you feel good for having finished. Amazing. Cool. Hey, Rebecca. How do I find a love for practicing? I don't know. It took me like 6 years of playing the handpan before I wanted to practice in that way. I was already playing every day just because I loved playing. And I've played music since I can remember, basically, and never once wanted to sit and practice. I only wanted to go straight to writing and improvising and composing and writing songs. So I don't know, maybe it was seeing the progress that got me motivated. Maybe it was the feeling. Actually, I think the feeling of flow is part of what made me enjoy practice. It was like there's a level where if you get past that beginner phase, which I know you're past, Rebecca, and you get into that, okay, I'm capable now and I can play most of what I want to play, but I still know that there's more that I want to do that I can't do yet. This is like the perfect space for getting into the flow state. So when I sit down to practice, I'll practice something that I'm already kind of able to do, but can't do it well yet. And you just get in the zone and it's almost like a meditation. You get into this trance and suddenly the world has disappeared and you're at that perfect level where it's like just out of reach, but also not frustrating enough that it just makes you want to give up, right? It's like really like, it's like almost hedonistic and quite addictive. Maybe this isn't good advice. I don't know. But that gave me the love for practicing, is this like, oh, it's just there and I can really get into it and it's so repetitive and just gets me into this trance. But also I'm improving at the same time. This is such a cool feeling. So that's how I found it. But everybody's different. So couldn't tell you. Yeah, good question. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You guys are amazing. Thank you for donating. I forgot that was an option that you can super chat. That you can do whatever it is that you just did. There is an option on YouTube where you can click it and give me money. Thank you so much. Becca says, if I can get addicted to practicing for even a week, I'd be so grateful. A week works. I did that project being David Kuckerman for a week, and I haven't practiced in that way since, but I honestly, it really, really skyrocketed my playing. You do have to keep it up a little bit though, because otherwise it just all goes completely. But yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. All right, I'm going to go back to Instagram. Da, 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 da. What other questions do we have? Just to prove that this is real. Ta-da! This is what people sent me a few days ago. We did the melodies. Getting stuck on similar rhythms. This is a good one. Intros and outros. That's fun. And also singing with the handpan. That's fun. I like singing. Okay. Let's do the question about getting stuck on similar rhythms. I feel like I cover this quite a lot in a lot of my videos because it's a very common occurrence that we get stuck in the same rhythms and the same patterns. Happens to me all the time. My most common rhythm that I want to play all the time is this. And I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, right? Or something just really. Just sticking a slap or a knock on every 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I always get stuck on these same patterns. So to push me out of that zone, there are a few different ways you do it. I look for resources online to learn new rhythms. I actually studied with my friend Josephine Dowes, who is an amazing frame drum player based in Washington. Sarah, if you're still here, you can correct me on that. Somewhere in America, on the West Coast. I studied with her for 5 lessons just to learn some new rhythms and new techniques that I could translate onto the instrument. So that really really helped out. That opened me up to the big wide world of Middle Eastern percussion, and I found, nice, interesting all these different variations. It's also fun to look up on YouTube like cool drum rhythms, and it's some dude on a drum kit who's like beating the crap out of it, and then you can slow it down and find a nice way to put that on the handpan. So looking up resources, there's also a really great resource on Handpan Dojo in one of the courses there. In fact, I think it's in all of the courses except for the guest teachers, all of David's courses, where at the bottom he just has a little rhythm library, and you can just click through and he plays a bunch of different rhythms, and you can learn them and you can utilize them. So pushing thank you, Rosie. I also have lots of rhythms on my website too. So it's all about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. When you sit down on the handpan, you find yourself playing the same thing, rather than just thinking, playing the same thing again, but fine, it's easy, it's fun. Stop and look up something new. Rather than trying to play something new, look up something new. Let yourself be taught. Let yourself learn. It took me a really long time to allow myself to learn from others, actually, which is quite a big thing to admit. I was always like, no, I can play. My first instrument was guitar. I could play guitar I know 2 chords, but let me just move my fingers around and find something else. I can Google this and learn it myself. I don't need a guitar teacher. So I did that for like, I don't know, 6 years maybe. And then I got a guitar teacher for a few months. Changed my life. So it's always a good idea to let yourself actually take resources, fill your cup, learn new things, learn rhythms from different cultures, from different instruments, and see how you can experiment and implement them. When you do learn them, it's always good to find, again, explore ways that you can get them into your body, get them into your hands, into your muscle memory. One of my favorite ways to do that is to learn the rhythm. So, for example, let's go crazy. Okay, I'm gonna push myself out of my comfort zone. I'm gonna do what I'm teaching. I'm gonna play in an odd time signature, which I don't often do. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So here's a rhythm. And I first learned this rhythm because it appeared in an indie pop song. And it took me like a year of listening to this song to realize that it wasn't in 4. And it was super catchy. And I was like, whoa, she makes this super catchy. How can I make this super catchy? Because I've always thought of odd time signatures as confusing and strange, and cool if you're into like dividing beats and geeking out about percussion, but that's it. And now I realize, there is a way to make them actually really melodically interesting and fun. So the song it went something like, and so I learned that. And a cool way to really get this into your body is, again, to move the accent onto different notes. Right? So if the accents are this, how can I move those accents and create a melody? See how I'm taking what we talked about earlier at the beginning of the stream about composition and developing composition, developing melodic phrases, taking the same idea, moving it up and down the pan. Right, so that's putting the accents on notes. Then I can experiment with putting ghost notes on melodic notes, right? Now I'm pushing myself in real time, which I won't sit and do for the next 10 minutes because it'll get boring for you. So learning a new rhythm, right? Trying to step out of our regular comfort zone. First thing we do is learn the rhythm, but we don't stop there, because otherwise when we come back to practice, we won't want to do it again because we'll have to relearn it, and that's no fun. So as part of learning it, we learn the rhythm, then we learn a few different ways to turn that into melody. The first way is putting the accent on different notes. The second way is putting the ghost note on different notes. The third way is starting the whole phrase, the whole groove, with a chord and moving that around like this. And there, I actually quite liked that. That's starting to inspire a new composition already. I recently wrote a song with that exact same chord progression, but it was in 4/4, so it sounds completely different now, and it's inspiring different things as I play it, right? So melody on accents, melody on ghost notes, chords at the beginning, combining all of those ideas. And then the fourth way is to see if you can put that whole rhythm on one hand and eliminate the ghost notes. Right? Once you've got that, I'm trying to formulate what it is that I'm trying to teach. I don't know the words for it, I just know the motions for it. I'm using my other hand to tap the pulse, is what I'm doing, I think. Right? So I've gone from this to putting it all in one hand. And I'm adding a little mute there as well for fun. And then I'm putting the pulse in this hand. Already embodying it in a different way. And I can do it this side as well. Can I? Who knows? Yes. Then, let's see if I could do this in real time without pre-practice. Then, eliminate every other beat. Is that right? I think that's right. And then move that hand up the scale. Looks like this. So one hand is keeping the pulse moving up and down, and one hand is keeping the groove. I don't know if I did that exactly right, because I haven't done that in a long time. I don't know why I chose 5 of all things. But an example of this with a really simple rhythm would be this, right? And then you can do crazy things like doubles and all that kind of fun stuff. So taking a groove, learning a new groove, playing it over and over and over until you've got it. Move the accents to melody notes, move the ghost notes to melody notes, put chords at the beginning of each bar so that you can give it some movement, and then experiment with putting that groove on one hand and seeing if you can then utilize the other hand to create some melody by exploring your scales first. That is how you get out of your regular habits and get out of the habit of playing the same groove all the time and push yourself to expand your capabilities. And then next time you come down to sit and jam, you've got that option, right? If you keep it up and you keep it alive, which I have not with that particular groove, then it's always an option for you when you sit down. All right. I'm going to keep it simple from here. Yeah, cool. All right, let's see. Thank you, Sarah. Josie is based on the Orcas Islands and goes by Joshin for her handpan music and teaches as under the company Rhythms Within. I do so believe. Great. All right, let's see if we have got some other questions. We got some love. You legend. Thank you so much. We met at Pan Marco. Yay. That would be amazing. I hope that we can both come out to the States again sometime and come out to Florida. That would be so cool. Thank you for your support. You're amazing. Thank you. And Nancy's here too. Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much, Nancy. I'll see you this week. All right. Gabrielle, thank you so much. Christine, thank you so much. Legends. This is not what I expected. I forgot that this was an option. Thank you for giving me your money. Okay. All right. So what haven't I covered yet? It's hot in here. Can't wait to open the window. We did that. Talk amongst yourselves. Ooh. Hi, Phil. This is a good one. This is one that I feel very strongly about. How long did I wait to get my second handpan? And I'm going to turn that into a broader question. How long should anybody wait to get a second handpan? Depends on finances. I didn't have the finances for a long time to get a second handpan, so it took me a while. But story time. Let's do this. So I had a what has been so lovingly referred to as a canpan for a long time, a handpan that wasn't very good. And I bought it using, I was granted some money as a result of things, and I spent it on a handpan. And it was the first company in the UK, and I was like, oh my god, there are handpans being built in the UK. I thought it was only being built in Switzerland and America, and there was only 2 of them, and I was never going to get one because they're a ridiculous amount of money, and I was okay with that. I'd like come to terms with that. But suddenly I had this money, and suddenly at the same time there was this new company, so I just went for it without really doing any research, and I had no idea that it wasn't good for 4 years, I think. So I had this one handpan, it was a D-Curd for 4 years, and then I went to my first ever handpan festival, which was Hangout UK, and it was amazing. And a lovely, lovely man there whose name has just gone out of my head. He sold me a handpan case, and he was such a wonderful man, and he sadly has passed away. He was the first friend that I made at Hangout. And it was the first handpan friend that I made. He let me play on some of his handpans, and I can vividly remember the moment I played the ding of his instrument, and I just wanted to cry. I was like, oh no, my handpan sucks. Like, I had no idea until I got there, and all of this time I'd been listening to handpans on the internet, never met one in person, and I'd been recording, and I had a video that had been quite successful. It was a Billie Jean cover, and I'd been working really hard to try and make my recordings sound as good as other people's recordings, and I thought I was just bad at it. It turned out I just had a bad handpan. Anyway, I did that gig again a couple of years later, and a guy called Michael Colley, who makes Asiel handpans, who is out of business now, saw my show and offered to make me an instrument. So that was when I got my second handpan, but it was the same scale so that I could play the same thing. So it kind of doesn't count. I basically just got a good quality instrument. So that was 4 or 5 years. It was then another couple of years before I got a different scale. And I was okay with that. I mean, to some extent. And the reason I think it's okay to wait for a good chunk of time before moving on to a new scale is because, especially if you're a beginner, if you're in a financial position, and that's amazing, if you're able to buy multiple handpans, like, wow, cool, great. It's amazing, and it's fun, and it's exciting, but it's easy to get distracted if you're super new to music by all these different scales, and suddenly your hands are in different positions, and this one sounds different, and it's so easy to just get lost in all of that, even with 2. And as a result, your progress actually slows down. So I recommend sticking to one instrument and just playing and playing and playing, and get to know as many different possibilities with your pan as you can. Like, I figured out, I mean, it took people showing me what I could do with my D chord to realize that I could play in D minor, I could play in F major, I could play in a fun G something because I had a low G at the time. Now I've got even more low notes. I've got an F and a C, so I can play in C major. It took years for me to figure that out because I wasn't letting people teach me. I was just I was just experimenting with no knowledge. But once you really get to know one instrument, you can do anything you want with it, pretty much. And I have all these amazing instruments behind me. I have a couple from Rav, and I have an amazing Elia pan in a harmonic minor scale. I've got a low pygmy, which was my second scale. But now I realize that for my live sets and for my composing, I can do anything that I want with these two instruments. I don't need the other instruments. The other instruments are pure greed and fun. And a lot of privilege and luck as well. I've been gifted instruments, which is amazing, and I'm super grateful for that. But in order to play and express what I want to express, I only need two. And the reason is this one is in D, and this one is in C sharp, which on a keyboard, there's a D and there's a C sharp right next to it. And so if you play the scale of each of those, they're like one little note away from each other. So you've got every single note, right? So I've got all of the chromatic notes on a piano, which means I can play in any key that I want to an extent, right? I've got, depending on what low notes I've got, I would typically want one of my low notes, this one, this one, this one, this one, or this one, or this one, right, to be the home. But it gives me so many options. So if you're wanting to buy another handpan so that you can extend your scale ability, and if you're like aware of how to use chords and all that kind of stuff, then I recommend getting two a half step out from each other. But if you just want to jam and explore, then I recommend getting two in very different fields. Maybe get like a Hijaz and a Pygmy or something like this. But you don't need a second handpan. Like, it's not necessary. You don't have to have one. I didn't for like 5-6 years. 4, 5, I don't know. It was only in the last couple of years, really, that I've actually started to get more pans. So yeah, I think I waited about 5 years. 4 years before I got another Kurd, and then it was a year or so after that. It was in lockdown, actually, that I came home and I was sad, and I was like, you know what? I'm buying a handpan. And I got a Pygmy from Meridian, and that's how I became friends with the Meridian crew, and then fell in love with their instruments, and now I pretty much just play Meridian, as well as a couple of others too. That was a very long-winded answer to that question. But yeah. Cool. Phew. And we have reached an hour. It is time. Maybe cover one last topic before closing with a song. Hal asks, will my weak hand ever get stronger? Yes, but it will always feel ever so slightly weaker unless you really work at it. The way that I work my weak hand is by doing every single practice with both hands. I just showed you the doubles. Bum, 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 bum. This is working both hands equally. Paradiddles are really good for working both hands equally. Every time I learn a new rhythm, as soon as I've got it with my right, which is my dominant hand, I do it with my left straight away. I don't even leave gap in between. I don't think, I've learned that rhythm, I'm going to put this down and go make dinner now. I make sure I do it with both hands every single time, so that it's always catching up, and I work extra hard with the weak hand. And I still feel like I'm not quite there yet. And I think I will always feel that way. But yes, it will. Sue asks a great question. Where is the best place to store a pan at home? Something like this, a shelf, is really good because everything is flat, and balanced, and open. Do not store it in a case, especially if you're living somewhere that's kind of humid, because the damp will get in and you run the risk of getting rust. So on a shelf, on a stand, on the floor, as long as it's out, you're fine. There are also little hangies, wall mounts that you can get that go in the goo. and then you hang the handpan on it. I've heard a lot of makers say that they're not a big fan of those because of the pressure that it puts on the instrument, and it's not necessarily good for it. I've never had any issue with it, but I prefer shells because it's just easier to get in and out as well. But yeah, and also somewhere that is easy access so that you're tempted to play all the time. If it's somewhere where you can just play it, then you will improve quicker because you'll be playing it. Yeah. All right. 3 and 2, we did that. Hey, we've covered quite a lot. I would love to get an idea to play one rhythm, one melody with a chance. Okay, we covered that. Melody and rhythm at the same time. Okay, so thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. I'm going to end with a little, very short breakdown and demo of singing with the instrument. And maybe next time we meet, we'll do some more of that in a bit more depth. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming. I got there before you, Sarah. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. I totally forgot you did suggest, you did ask for singing. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being here. It's been such a joy. I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to work or how it was going to be, but maybe we'll do this again sometime. And if you would like to support me, again, there's a bunch of ways that you can do that. You can buy a course, you can join the class, you can join my Patreon community, or you can apparently send me a super chat thing on YouTube, which is amazing. Or you can just give me a thumbs up on the video and do the subscribey things and all that stuff, which I've never said once in a video before. Yeah, okay, singing. So right at the beginning in this stream, I played a little improvisation and I did a little bit of singing. And Sarah asked something more specific on Instagram. I don't remember exactly, Sarah. I'm sorry. I'm going to look at it right now. Sarah asked, vocalizing with handpan, practice exercises. Practice exercises for vocalizing with the handpan. My go-to is to play up and down the instrument. Sometimes the lower end is out of my range. This is why I've chosen this one. It's more in my range. And to sing along with it. One really good one for this is the blocks exercise, which I know Kaveh has taught online. If any of you have taken Kabasao's masterclass on Master the Handpan, he does a really good breakdown of this, which is moving in blocks of 3. I also saw this exercise for the voice in an example of classical Indian singing. So basically any exercise that I do on the handpan, I try to do with my voice as well. So this particular one is a good example, but moving and then jumping back down. And then I like to jump around the instrument, especially if it's a new scale, to see if I can guess what the note's going to be. Often I can't. Really push myself to see if I can guess what the next note is. Good place to start is probably with scales. Now, it's important to know that I'm not necessarily singing actual like scales, if you like you would see in a lot of vocal exercises where you'd sing like the major scale up and down, or you'd sing a certain chord up and down and arpeggiate it. The handpan, the layouts are different, and so it's encouraging different patterns. But because I'm wanting to exercise my voice and I'm wanting to exercise my connection with the particular instruments, I think this is good to dance with the handpan itself. One really important thing to note if you're just starting out singing and you want to sing and play is that it's good to think about your voice as an instrument and to remember that you can practice it like an instrument as well. Oftentimes people are like, I can't sing, I want to sing, but when I sing it just sounds bad. And I think there can be a lot of shame around singing a lot of the time, especially because it almost feels like we should be able to, right? If we could do it nonchalantly when we were children and not worry about it, then why can't we do it now, you know? So I encourage you to get out of that mindset and to remember, well, actually, I've been playing handpan and practicing handpan for longer than I've been practicing singing. So if I start from scratch, give myself a break and practice like I would on the pan, and practice alongside the pan when I'm playing my scales, sing them as well. When I'm improvising, sing what I'm improvising. Then you'll start to get those muscles and you'll start to get that skill and unlock that skill. So just treat it like an instrument. Don't worry about it. But yeah, maybe we can go into depth with that another time. Yeah, and then when I'm improvising and I want to sing, I'm listening out for what notes I'm playing. Okay, let's focus on this note. I'm playing chords, right? And if I move over here, I'm going to focus on this one. I'm going to go right down to this low note. Maybe, and then I could go to this one. Excuse me. Now I've gone to a different note instead. Right, so as you're exploring playing your chords, see if you can jump around and listen to particular notes within that and accentuate them and sing them. But we can do a bit more of that another time. But yeah, thank you. And if you're interested in diving into composition a little bit more, then do sign up for my class. If you click the link, you just submit a form and you don't have to pay anything yet. You just sign up for the mailing list and then I will email you when it happens and you can join or you can not join. And the class is £10 to £20, whatever you can afford. And it's about an hour and a half long with some Q&A time, social time at the end. It'd be amazing to see you there. But yeah, they are running regularly in the autumn time all the way through to next summer. And then that's kind of how it rotates, all on Zoom. But thank you all so much for being here. It's been amazing. It's been quite nice to see so many people. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. And to end, I'm going to play a little song to say goodbye. And then that's it. All right.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you. Yeah, and I hope to see you again sometime here on the channel, maybe at another live stream. And yeah, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, rest of your evening. And yeah, wishing you all the best. Big hugs from me. Bye-bye.